something like that. I certainly remember in 1995, I think it was, I organised a meeting in London for the UK Tech Users Group and the British Computer Society Special Interest Group in Electronic Publishing on HTML, TeX, and PDF. They were all new technologies, or relatively new. And XML didn't exist at that time, but PDF was new. And we had about 120 people there. It was the biggest meeting the UK Tech Users Group has ever held, I think. And I came in contact with SoftQuad because I put together an information pack about providers, and SoftQuad was in there. And I came across SoftQuad in other settings as well. So I have your own sense of the optimism of the new dawn of structured documents, of HTML and XML and all that stuff, and the accessibility capabilities that would be provided to us. And I feel as though there have been some disappointments in that area. There have been some successes, and I think there have been some disappointments. To go back to what I said about user experience, delivering accessible material is a question of user experience, and user-focused design in this setting means that the user is not the author. Well, the author might be the reader. The author, you might write something for yourself, but the reader is the user. And in the early days of tech, and for a long, long time, the user of tech is the author. But when it comes to electronic products and accessible products, the user is the reader. And this is a very important force. I'm trained as a research mathematician, and now that I'm retired, I can return to my research problems. And I've learned that the choice of problem is a really important question. It's one of the most important things a PhD supervisor can provide is guidance and choice of problem. And also the timeliness of problems and the relationship with problems. So we can say, here are all these opportunities. Here are all these problems and difficulties. How do we make a start on this? And Duncan Knuth, perhaps deliberately, perhaps accidentally, was able to establish a community. There was a community. And something I now believe, and I wish somebody had persuaded me of it a long time ago, is that building a community, and building isn't the right word, developing a community, growing a community, taking care of a community is a really important part for solving these problems of accessibility and, in general terms, for doing good in the world. Harm comes when communities are broken, and good comes when communities are united, as long as the unification is on the basis of human solidarity and not on defeating your enemy. So I see that as being a really important issue for our community. Our community has become, I think, somewhat isolated from the mainstream of open source software. we have a bit too much of, I'll put it this way, that until about 1990, 95, TUG was growing and the tech community was growing and things were going well. And at some point, a sort of decline has set in. Now, when things are growing, people are willing to contribute so that they can get a piece of a larger pie. But when things are declining, people try to hold on to their piece of pie, and that becomes more important to them than the community. So I see MathJax as a source of optimism because they have brought mathematical typography of the TeX standard and the TeX language, the LaTeX language, to the web browser. And many, many people have benefited from that. So these things are possible. And I think it's possible to make progress with accessibility and with author experience. But the choice of problems is really very important. And learning from experience is also very, very important. Learning from your mistakes, recognizing your mistakes. I'll stop at that point.